What are some street smarts everyone should know? I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood in Chicago, and probably the best thing you should do when walking by yourself at night is pay attention to every car. Usually they'll drive past you and scope you out. If you look like a target, you'll see that car again. Or they'll meet you farther down your path while you're walking past an alley. Always be ready for something when walking past an alley and stay close to the houses. That way if anything's suspicious, you can run into a backyard. If someone asks your shoe size, start walking lol. This gave me some bad memories of growing up in a shitty neighborhood. Hey bro, what size shoes you got? Is not a question you want to hear at 1 AM on a Friday night from someone you didn't even see. Before using any ATM, tug hard on the plastic card reader. Scammers often put a fake one on top that steals your info. This happens a lot to outdoor card readers at gas stations too. When I worked at a gas station, one of our daily tasks was going to all the pumps, ATMs, and card readers to give them a pull/jiggle and a visual inspection for shenanigans. I took it very seriously. I'd run my hands all over the keys and stuff and basically try and tug the entire faceplate off. These scammers can be either small hidden things in the card reader or an entire identical front of the machine that snaps over it like a second skin. It takes less than 5 seconds for someone to put these things on. They just walk by and click, all done. Just because someone is friendly with you doesn't mean they have a good heart. One of the hardest lessons I've had to learn is that nice is different than good. Apostrophe. Don't ever tell the cab driver you don't know where you're going. Why? Because they will take longer routes to charge you more if you don't know the area. Correct. And always give them an address, cross streets, and preferred route if you can. In my city, it's easy to say take Lakeshore Drive please, so they don't go down State Street and get stopped by a red light and 500 pedestrians every block. If you are in any sort of confrontation and someone balls their fist and looks away for a second, or even just looks away for a second, you should be prepared for the possibility of a sucker punch. I just posted something similar. Good advice as well. The look away is the tell. Why would someone look away? Usually to catch you off guard. Make you look at what they're facing instead of his swing. Wear shoes you can run the duck away in. I 100% do this everywhere. Like Mel Gibson said, he who fights and runs away lives to run away another day. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. Had an experience with this once. 2 masked guys on bikes came up to me and my friends and asked if we wanted some free weed. They showed me something wrapped in tinfoil. Immediately declined. Still wonder what their scam was. Is that stranger being overly nice to you? Are you on the sidewalk? Are you alone? The reason it feels like something is wrong is because something is wrong. The reason it feels like something is wrong is because something is wrong. Apostrophe. This is a great quote. Thank you. Nobody approaches you on the street because they want to do something for you. It's always because they want something from you. This is the main one. My rule of thumb is always sternly say no, no matter what, especially if no one else is around. If a group of people suddenly get down, so do you. Dancing intensifies. Get down on it. Cool and the gang intensifies. If you're driving and hit black ice, just take foot off gas, but don't brake until the slide stops. This is great advice. Generally speaking, brakes are not your friend. If there is any situation where grip is limited, braking will often cause the car to become unbalanced and often contribute to a crash. You might be correct when you have the right of way, but you're still the one that's going to be dead when you get whacked by the car if you're walking or on your bike. My friend's dad always said, the cemetery is full of people who had the right of way. If you're walking and someone approaches, don't break stride. You can carry on a conversation while walking, but people who are looking to proselytize, sell you something, or mug you will want you to slow or stop to address them. If they want to chat, make them keep up with you. You can even tell them that you're in a rush, but would love to talk and walk. They'll likely find someone more stationary, because if you can make a person slow, You can make them stop. If you can make them stop, you've already adjusted their priorities and placed yourself at the top. It's a subtle power game. Keep going where you're going, and you retain your power. Stop and cat, and you've given it up and opened yourself to possible problems. This is the answer. You owe no one on the street anything. You won't get mugged if you look like you're going to mug someone. That reminds me of a comedian. He was going about the scales of not getting mugged/fought, and he was like, act crazy. No one is going to try and fight a crazy person. Don't tell even close friends the amount of money you have on you. I was set up by an 18-year-old female coworker this week. She seemed like a sweetheart and was giving me rides to work for a few days. I asked on the Monday if we could go to bank as I needed to cash a check for roughly $4,500. Minutes after dropping me near house, I was robbed at gunpoint of everything by two guys. They knew how much they were looking for. The robber said he watched me leave bank, but the police saw on camera near home that they had been waiting for me for an hour. One of the robbers was her ex/current boyfriend, it turns out. Holy shit. Thanks for the advice. I never would have thought of this. And we've been working together at least 6 months and have a same group of work friends. I was very surprised. I have good street smarts, but obviously completely misjudged this one. Always ask for only one scoop of ice cream first, because they make single scoops bigger. Then act like you changed your mind and ask for a second scoop. They will be pressured to match the size of the first scoop, providing you with a massive amount of ice cream. This is the type of answer I was looking for. Thank you. Always know where the exits are in any place that you enter so that you don't get lost in an emergency. Also, never place yourself in a hole in public where there is only one entrance and exit and no other people around. These are often crime hotspots. When we would rarely go out to eat as a family, my pops would only sit facing the door. I never thought anything of it until I was grown. Do not trust taxi drivers if you are a tourist. I'm not a tourist, and I still don't trust taxi drivers. When it comes to knife fights, the loser dies in the street, the winner dies in the hospital. First rule of knife fighting: you're gonna get cut, and not just like cool cut the way they show in movies. Tendons severed, veins, arteries. Chances are you'll be ducked up for life afterwards. Street smarts to give your kids. If you get lost, find the closest adult with kids. I saw this in action once at Disneyland when a 4-year-old kid approached me and mic hit us while we were eating. She joined us very calmly, introduced herself, and said her parents gave her the above advice. I heard her parents shouting her name not long after, and the relief on their faces was a sight. This is good advice. I told my nephews to go to the nearest person running cash register in a store or at a cart. These people are not likely to move and can summon help. Also, it gives me a focus on where to look. This was my parents' advice as well. Go to where you are most visible, i.e., if you get lost in a store, go to the front by the cash registers. I'm still alive, so it must have worked. Never flash your whole wad of cash in a public place while paying for something. Keep a few bucks loose in one pocket for spending. Keep the majority of your cash in a separate pocket. Don't open a wallet full of all your money where other people can see you. My elderly customers always do this, and it gives me hives. Like, Eileen, why do you have like 400 in there? Put it the duck away. Come on, Eileen. Be aware of surroundings. Look like you belong either through body language, attire, or occupation, without being oblivious to things around you. The moment you look lost, out of place, or unsure is the moment you can look like a good target. If someone is looking at you with an expression questioning why you are there, be prepared to answer it with confidence and give an answer they would accept, or be prepared to leave before they can ask. Also be 3 feet tall, muscular, have shaved head and long beard. 3 feet. Nobody tosses a dwarf. Adults do not ask children for help. I knew this, but I also never realized it before. Like I was always told when I was a kid that I shouldn't talk to strangers. but only now am I realizing that there actually isn't a legitimate reason that person might actually need directions or whatever. As a kid I worried it'd be rude if I had to reject them, but I'd have to do it anyway. When I was 7, a man in a car pulled up next to my yard and asked me to help him find his puppy. I told him that I'd go get my parents so we would have more people looking. I didn't realize at the time that he wasn't genuine. I went in yelling for my parents, and when I came out, he was gone. I don't recall my parents talking to me about what had happened, and I had to come to the realization years later that I had narrowly avoided being kidnapped. This reminds me of a comedian who was saying the best way to stay safe in a rough neighborhood is to fake a Russian accent cause Russians are terrifying. Illume my friend's eyes FPS Russia again. If somebody asks you your name, have a fake generic name and use it all the time. Mike, Dave, and John will do. I use Arthur Curry. Not joking. I'm secretly Aquaman. Totally joking. I'm Tyrone Skinnerdip on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And every other day I'm Chad Jackson. Muggers and criminals often work in groups or pairs with one person trying to distract you. Edited to @ I think people tend to know this as it applies to being a tourist, but they forget it when traveling domestically or in their own city. Someone asking you for directions could have a partner in a car around the corner or across the street. Seen it and experienced it many times. I work in a liquor store and all the small bottles, small enough to fit in pockets, are kept on shelves behind the till. Thieves often come in 2 or 3s and one will come to the till and ask me 20 questions about the minis to try and get me to turn around and take my eyes off the store floor so their buddies can seize an opportunity to stick a big bottle down their pants. So I have all the mini bottles and sizes and prices memorized. Lol, they get so frustrated. Pay attention when you cross the street on foot. No matter who has the right of way, the vehicle will destroy you, lightly or heavily. Thanks. My dad had an expression about right of way in traffic. You might have right of way, but end up dead right. My driving teacher told me this. Assume everyone in traffic is an absolute idiot. Apostrophe. Be aware of your surroundings and trust your gut. Women should not be afraid to appear rude. The book Gift of Fear has lots of great info. As an admittedly somewhat scary looking guy resting murderer face, I would never be offended if a woman, or anyone, walking in front of me had to do something rude to not be in front of me. Walk fast and look pissed off. This is how I deal with people on the street trying to market stuff to me. To me they don't exist. If they try to jump in front to stop me, they are getting muscled past. This ain't the NBA. Don't get between me and where I'm going. For most people, just keeping your head on a swivel and being aware of what's around you would be a big help. Put your phone in your freaking pocket. Source: grew up in the hood. Edit: /u/specific fail said luck like you belong, and I agree 100%. Also take your headphones/earbuds off. Don't look or get stumbly drunk. Much less likely to have anyone mess with you if you look like you are aware of your surroundings and not distracted. Only break one law at a time. Accept solicitation of prostitution and illegal drug use. Fear the PB&J of crimes. Drive it like you stole it. Apostrophe. So very carefully. Abiding by all traffic laws. To reduce the risk of being pulled over. If the situation doesn't feel right, it's not right. Trust your spidey sense. One time I was meeting up with a guy to sell my car. We met up at a mall, so I felt pretty comfortable about the whole thing. He seemed a little off when we met though. I eventually let him take a test drive around the lot and he started to mention taking it for a test drive on the highway. I immediately said nah because he still seemed pretty off, but he kept insisting on taking it there. I had to legit throw the car into park and grab the keys out to keep him from going. The whole time he was saying it's okay, it'll be okay, and that just pissed me off even more. I drove the car back and he just dipped right when we got back without saying a word. That was when I knew I did the right thing. My heart was racing so fast the whole time. It still messes me up just thinking about it. Yeah, you did the right thing. That sounds 100% like he was planning on taking the car and not coming back XD. The fact that he left immediately after just shows that he had no other reason to be there besides to try and steal your car. That part for whatever reason really makes me pissed even more than the rest of the story. You should always be afraid of secondary locations. I've heard this before. If someone mugs you, be compliant and give them your stuff. It's just stuff you can get more. If they try and take you somewhere else though, fight and scream and do anything to escape. Because they don't want your stuff. They want you. And that's not replaceable. I was told the same thing. Even if they're going to kill you, it's better to die there instead of being taken to another location, because it could be much worse whatever they plan to do to you at the second location, and it'll be much harder to find them. Hey PSSST, please subscribe and like.